We get a Texas win and Oklahoma loss. Hook 'em horns, your boy is a happy guy. Sadly, we are going to have to go through. We are going to have to look at some injuries, however, which isn't too fun here. Let's go ahead. Let's start it off with Raheem Mostert. No longer on the injury report. Going to be 100% good to go. No hesitation. I mean, hell, if you're going to go through and look at Raheem Mostert's underdog pick'em this week, you have Raheem Mostert currently sitting there 49.5 rushing yards, 11.5 rushing attempts. Obviously, this is someone that you can go ahead and start. It'll be good to go. Now, Dameon Pierce not expected to play week 9. So I know a lot of people are going to be super excited to go out there and fire up Devin Singletary. Now, full transparency, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that is hard to admit. This is something that, I mean, of course, no human in their right mind would ever say out loud to another person, but I drafted an embarrassing amount of Devin Singletary this year in underdog drafts. Like, I was overweight Singletary. Now, with that being said, am I rushing out there to start Devin Singletary? Probably not. In reality, I'm probably going to say, okay, well, if I need a running back, sure, we'll play him. But Mike Boone most likely is going to be involved. It's not like Singletary's a great running back in general. So you can start him if you really need to. Not going to be like saying he's a must-start player, however. Now, DJ Chark listed as questionable. Who the hell cares? Play Adam Thielen, only guy you're looking at. Deshaun Watson is going to start this week. And we actually have some in-depth research with the Deshaun Watson injury and what it may mean for his play later on in this video. Quick little sneak peek. You can probably start everybody in Cleveland this week. I think you should be excited. Plus, great matchup against Arizona, of course. Now, Drake London's going to be ruled out week 9. Now, with no London, no wide receiver in Atlanta is intriguing. I think that kind of goes without being said. Obviously, Taylor Heineke is not intriguing for a multitude of different reasons. But I think this does make it where Kyle Pitts is someone you probably have to start, right? I think Kyle Pitts goes from being a low-end tight end 1, high-end tight end 2, to more so a mid tight end 1 here. I think that they are heavily going to have to rely on him. Now, Curtis Samuel will be ruled out for week 9. With Curtis Samuel, I mean, hell, I'm not going to be too excited to play McLaurin or Dotson. If you really needed to, yeah, you can do it. I just think you're looking at them as like low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 options. Josh Allen no longer listed on the injury report. No concerns whatsoever. Matthew Stafford will be a game-time decision, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it's nice as Matthew Stafford's not playing at like 3 p.m. tomorrow. Typically, that's what we get from a lot of these West Coast teams, right? Especially the Rams. However, going to be a little bit of a different spot. They're playing in Green Bay, so it should be a normal kickoff. I mean, we're not having to sit here and go, oh, okay, well, let's just completely throw our hands up in the air and say we have no idea. Now, Puka is questionable as well. And with Puka being banged up, I expect that Puka does play. But with him being banged up and Matthew Stafford being banged up at the same time, I'm not going to fault you at all if you wanted to go out there and if you wanted to bench them. It really is just going to be up to you, right? I think you still probably end up playing Puka if Matthew Stafford plays. If Stafford misses, then if you wanted to bench him, I don't think it would be the worst decision in the world. Not something I want to do. I probably still want to start him if you get Stafford, of course. Now, Daniel Jones, not listed on the injury report. Daniel Jones will be good to go. Darren Waller's on the IR now. I'll talk about that a little later on. But ultimately, the only players that I'm excited about in New York, I'd say the only player I'm excited about will be Saquon Barkley. Like Daniel Jones and like underdog best ball drafts may be viable. Maybe just gives you some random spike weeks going forward, given his rushing upside, right? Like I have mixed in Daniel Jones into some weekly underdog drafts this week just because, hell, I mean, he could go out there. He could have 60 rushing yards. We don't know. Now, speaking of someone that you could usually expect 60 rushing yards with, we are going to be looking at Justin Fields listed as doubtful. Spread on this game is massive. In Chicago, if you really wanted to play DJ Moore, you can. If you really wanted to play Cole Kmet, you can. Do not play any Chicago Bear running back. And I am going to be expecting that 9 times out of 10, Justin Fields does miss this game, even if he did get in the practice on Friday. And quick side note, I know we were talking about Curtis Samuel being out this game. So if you're looking at the underdog pick'em projections that you have for these receivers here in Washington, they actually have Terry McLaurin moved up to 63.5 total yards. So, I mean, yes, you are going to have underdogs saying that you need to go out there and you need to start Terry. I just think the passing volume comes down in this offense. I mean, they've spread the ball out so much so far this season. So I don't even mind going with fewer than 63.5 total yards with Christian Watson. Like if I'm going to be looking at him in comparison to another wide receiver, I don't mind making like the spread bet where you're going higher than Christian Watson, 42.5 receiving yards, and fewer than 63.5 receiving yards for Terry McLaurin. And of course, if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, links in the live chat, links in the description, links in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, and a Lamar Jackson special pick'em more than less than half a total yards. So make sure you take advantage, ladies and gentlemen. But going back to our next update here, we are going to have Josh Downs listed as questionable. I mean, I initially thought, oh, okay, yeah, Josh Downs is for sure. But no, it sounds like Downs may actually miss. I mean, so like if you're looking at Josh Downs versus Rashee Rice this week, you should probably go with the Rashee Rice sign. Now, McFlores coming out saying Aaron Jones looked good, had a good week, and ready to cut him loose. I mean, if he's going out of his way to say this, I think we have to operate under the assumption that, yeah, he's telling the truth here. I think you need to start Aaron Jones. I really don't have any hesitation at all in doing so. So yeah, just start Aaron Jones. Don't really overthink it, even if he has been very disappointing as of late. Now, Devontae Parker listed as out. Don't care, to be completely honest with you. Amari DiMicado listed as out. Now, this is going to be a little bit frustrating, right? Because, I mean, if we're looking at this, now you look at the Arizona Cardinals depth chart, the only real guys left standing are Keontae Ingram and Tony Jones Jr. Do I want to start Keontae Ingram? No. Do I want to start Tony Jones? No. I think that honestly, you can probably just avoid everybody here in Arizona. I mean, I'm not going to overthink it because this is a very bad offense at the end of the day. And at the same time, this is a very tough matchup going up against the Cleveland Browns. So I am going to go ahead. I'm just going to start all running backs there in Arizona. I'm sorry, bench all running backs in Arizona this week. David Njoku not listed on the injury report for week 9. Like we said, Deshaun Watson's going to go as well. So going to be excited to go through and play him. Now, Dameon Pierce listed as out. We already talked about that. I mean, Devin Singletary, you can start if you really need to. I'd rather start Singletary over the Arizona backs, to be honest. Robert Woods will be out, so maybe give a bump up to Tank Dell and Nico Collins. DK Metcalf, no longer on the injury report, should be good to go. Lockett as well. The hesitation that I have here with these guys, specifically Tyler Lockett, is it is a very tough matchup going up against Baltimore. We're not super excited about this passing offense here in general. Now, on the Baltimore side of things, Gus Edwards, Odell, neither on the injury report anymore. You can start Gus Edwards with confidence in a non-PPR format, but with Gus Edwards averaging fewer than a target per game so far this season, not going to be hesitating to tell you, yeah, if you're in a full PPR league, if you find a better option than Edwards, I'd be fine going through and benching Gus Edwards, even though he has been absolutely crushing it, right? Now, Clayton Tune will start for the Arizona Cardinals this week. Sounds like we'll probably get Kyler Murray back next week. And like we were discussing, the spread on this game is massive. It's like a 9-point spread. You have the lowest implied team total of any team in the NFL this week for the Arizona Cardinals. So I think that you can go ahead and honestly just bench all your Cardinals. Like Hollywood Brown, maybe you can consider starting, especially if you're like relying on Joshua Palmer, right, who is going to be out in week 9. No Palmer means you just give a bump up to Keenan Allen. You give a bump up to Austin Eckler just slightly with their projected target shares in this offense. But with that being said, you're starting him anyway, right? I mean, it's not like that's going to change much. Now, Darren Waller is going to go on the IR. So, I mean, this isn't too big of a surprise. As we have been saying, I mean, this is a team that's not really playing for anything. So I think it's just easy to say, okay, yeah, if you're Darren Waller, if you're banged up, this obviously, there's no reason to go out there and stress anything. If I'm Darren Waller, I'm going, hey guys, I'm going to go to Cancun for a couple weeks. Let me heal up here. Let me make sure this hamstring's right. And then I'll eventually come back to New York. And maybe if y'all win a game or two, we'll rush ourselves back. But let's go over and let's look at what Deepak has to say with this at SportsMD Analysis. Really like this follow on Twitter. Can give a lot of insight here with these injuries. So Deshaun Watson playing says he should be near 100% and likely no performance dip. So like I was saying, I'm starting all our Cleveland Browns. Matthew Stafford, to be determined, lean towards sitting week 9, return week 11 because he has the week 10 bye. Hard to get thumb swelling down in just 1 week. And yeah, I mean, if you have the bye week 10, especially on a team that's not super competitive like the Rams, I think that it is a fine spot. I mean, to just assume that you most likely have him sitting out that extra week. Josh Allen, good to go. Maybe a little bit limited on the deep ball, but ultimately you're still starting these guys as normal. Kyler Murray, likely return week 10, rushing dip as well, which of course is what you'd expect with the player coming off the torn ACL. Puka, to be determined, data projects 2 out of 3 chance of playing. Low-grade knee sprains typically carry mild performance impact, relatively low re-aggravation risk, which is why we were talking about previously, like if you wanted to go out there and if you wanted to bench Puka in an instance where you have no Matthew Stafford in this game, if Stafford misses, I'm completely fine with that because then you're going to be dealing with backup quarterback play and Puka may not be 100% at the same time. Now with Justin Fields, return to practice, Eagles promising, leaning towards week 10, low performance impact if able to log in a full practice prior. Drake London out week 9. Most young wide receivers should be good to go back in week 10. And I think that should be about it for the injury updates. Please let me know in the live chat right now if y'all have any questions regarding players that maybe I did not talk about. I feel like we did cover everything. And we're also 1 like away from hitting 100 likes on this stream. So hit that like button if you have not done so already. And Awesome says, should I drop Waller? We have Kincaid. If you cannot put Waller on your IR and instead he's going to be clogging up a bench spot for you the next 4 weeks and you're in a shallow redraft league, then yeah, I'll just go ahead and cut him. I mean, think about it right now. Right now is week 9. You have him know week 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're going to get him back week 13, 14, 15. We don't even know if we would play him over Kincaid, and that's at the very best. So I don't know. But I think that should be it, ladies and gentlemen. So like I said, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, some of my favorite pick'ems this week will be Terry McLaurin for fewer than 63.5 total yards and Christian Watson for more than 42.5 total yards as well, ladies and gentlemen. If I can find that for y'all, bam. And yeah, promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, and the Lamar Jackson special pick of more than less than half a total yard as well. So make sure you take advantage of that. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And I will be live in about 2.5 hours. And I'll be answering all your questions tonight and tomorrow morning. So I really hope I get to see you then. And if not, yeah, really wishing you the best of luck for your week 9 matchup.